Venetia Jafta is in a critical condition. Tuberculosis has damaged her brain. She's suffering from the most dangerous form of the disease.
Oh, my darling.
At only 3, she's had a serious operation. Doctors inserted a pipe to drain fluid from her brain. It can never be removed. TB has blocked off her brain's drainage path permanently. It's unlikely that Venetia will ever fully recover.
She came in too late. Once a child is sleepy or has a depressed level of consciousness and signs of motor fallout, you know, like this child has got, you could see the child couldn't open the one eye and was very sleepy. Once that happens, then the outcome already becomes worse. And the chances of complete recovery is not good.
Few children survive this with a normal level of intelligence. For the rest of their lives, they suffer serious learning difficulties and behavior problems. All because they were diagnosed at too late a stage with TB, a completely curable disease. Uitzig at Bellville in the Western Cape. It's a community with one of the highest TB infection rates in the world. In Africa, only Ethiopia and Nigeria have higher TB rates than South Africa. Just across the road from Uitzig is Tygerberg Children's Hospital. It's into these wards that youngsters are admitted daily with one of the rarest and most dangerous forms of TB. TB of the brain, also known as TB meningitis.
At this moment, it's the most common type of meningitis seen at Tygerberg Hospital. And if you would tell this to anybody else in the world, they wouldn't believe you, because many people or doctors in first world countries haven't seen a single case, or perhaps one case in their lives.
It's difficult to know when a child has TB meningitis. Young children like Venetia are most vulnerable. They're too small to alert their parents to symptoms such as headaches. In South Africa, almost everyone's been in contact with someone who's got TB, so simple skin tests that have always been used have become unreliable.
The skin test that we do use for the diagnosis of TB in children is only a way of showing that someone has been exposed to TB and not necessarily sick. And the fact is that we all might have positive skin tests for TB, but that does not mean we're sick.
Kids get sick from adults. Grown-ups get TB in their lungs and spread it when they cough. The TB germ destroys the lungs and can harm other vital organs like the brain. It's incredibly dangerous to children, even if they've been immunized at birth, as all children are. What makes the situation even worse is that most adults aren't aware that they've got TB. Venetia Jafta's mother had no idea.
This is a typical case where we've got a family member of the patient that has TB. In this case, the mother of the patient, and she most probably gave TB to her child. We diagnosed her over a year with TB. She did not know, but she had symptoms of, she was coughing, losing weight, having night sweats, but she had not known that she had TB.
Doctors first told Anastasia Jafta her daughter had gastro, but the medication didn't work. Then she noticed strange symptoms.
Die donderdag namiddag toe vind ek uit, my kind begin raak lam en die kooi loop uit haar mond uit. Toe ek probeer om die bors in haar mond te steek, sy het nog bors gedrink. En die bors het van sy af uitgeval uit haar mond uit. En sy het begin amper so styf raak. En ek het die susters geroep om te vra na wat fout is met my kind. En die dokter het my gesê dat hy gaan van haar rug mag trek. En om te kijken of ze niet aan meningitis het. En die dinsdag het hulle my gestuur na Tygerberg toe. Hulle het my gesê dat sy TB meningitis het.
Benisha's mother was so infectious that she had to be sent home. She was a danger to the other children in the hospital ward. She works on an apple farm in Verliersdorp in the Oeverberg. But now she is a danger to her family and colleagues. Due to an administrative error, she hasn't obtained TB drugs yet. She's still highly contagious. If she doesn't start taking the medicine soon, she'll infect up to 15 other workers this year. Her partner, Benisha's father, is most at risk.
Dit is die punt. Ek is bang dat ek wel sal aansteek. Dis hoekom ek vir hom gesê het dat ek weer die hospitaal toe kom, dat hy moet gaan om ook toetse te gaan neem van sy speeksel en sy bors.
Benisha is likely to live with the after effects of TB meningitis forever, just because she was diagnosed too late.
We recently did a long-term follow-up study of TB meningitis at our hospital, and we found that the major long-term consequences of this disease has to do with intelligence and behavior. Only 20% of children who had this disease had a normal intelligence. Most of the children had serious learning problems, and up to half of the children had serious behavior problems.
Benisha will be separated from her family for at least 7 months. She will stay in Tygerberg Hospital for a month, then she'll spend half a year in a TB hospital. Tuberculosis treatment takes a long time, and the pills have serious side effects. They make children feel nauseous and weak. If youngsters are kept at home, they almost never complete their treatment. Brooklyn Chest Hospital in Eysterplaat, Cape Town is for kids with TB. They live here for a minimum of 6 months. It's a whole new way of life. They go to school inside the hospital and take up to 10 tablets every day. Some have to stay longer than others, like Yaku Joseph. He's got a form of lung TB for which normal drugs don't work. It's 20 times more expensive to treat. His mother and grandmother both died of TB. Because his mother did not complete her treatment, she got multi-drug resistant TB, and she passed that form of tuberculosis on to Yaku.
As die beste as jy my pille drank, en die wat julle pille drankie, hulle sal doodgaan. Dis die beste om pille te drank. So hard sê.
Waarom is jy hartseer, Jaco?
My ma moet dat pille gevat en nou is die aan my wat ek ook sê. Nou is die haar wat ek ook siek is. Nou voel ek.
Yaku has to stay at Brooklyn Chest Hospital for 8 months. He arrived with chest pains, night sweats, and was coughing up phlegm. He was also severely underweight.
Ek kan nie geloop het die baie kort asem. Ek kan net hiervan uit die huis loop toilet toe. As ek in die toilet kom, as ek baie moeg. Baie moeg. Soos een wat nou 100 meter gehardloop het.
Pille vir die bulle. Pille vir die mense om gesond te raak.
Every morning, Yaku and his classmates have to queue for a large assortment of TB pills, which have many side effects.
Yaku.
Blikkies. Jy kry ook aan baie pille wie jy.
These are the tablets that causes the red in the urine. These are just an iron tablet. The child is anemic, perhaps. These are the ones that has got a smell. You can smell it. It's a smell, and this is the one that the children doesn't like a lot. Causes a lot of vomiting too for them.
It's difficult for even highly experienced nurses to make these children take their tablets for an entire 6 months. That's why most kids have to stay at hospital and not at home.
There's such a lot of problems at the beginning, especially if it's a new TB case. They don't know what it is to take all these tablets. Maybe at home they will have 2 tablets for a headache or 1 tablet. But you imagine TB tablets, you must take almost a handful. And though we say it's like Smarties, it doesn't taste like Smarties, doesn't smell like Smarties.
The most dangerous thing children can do is to stop taking their TB tablets when they start to feel better. If they do, they'll develop multi-drug resistant TB, the form Yaku's mother has passed on to him. Few drugs can fight it.
Ek sê aan mekaar vir die kinders, wanneer toe sê ek vir juffrou, daar by die stoep, ek voel al of ek gezond is. Kan hulle luister aan my toe sê of vir my, ek voel soveel, Jaco, maar hy is nog heeltemal gezond, die moet nog eers pille vat. En tot wanneer hulle sien, maar jy is nou gezond, dan kan jy regtig huis toe gaan.
Some children here also have TB of the brain. They have intense memory problems. They often don't remember the previous day's schoolwork. Pills also sometimes make children very tired.
Sometimes they are sleepy after the pills. The little ones, they lie down here on the mat and then they sleep for a long while in the mornings.
Most of the children attending this school come from poor families. TB is often called a disease of poverty. Ironically, for many children, the TB school is better than the schools they used to. The hospital has found that since it began teaching patients, they heal at a much quicker pace.
It's a baie betere school. En jy betaal die skoolfondsie. Jy kry alles verniet. Jy kry eetgoedertjies verniet. En die werk wat jy doen, is so interessant. Die werk so lekker wat jy dank die werk by die huis. Maar dat is hoe ze gezond raakt. Je voelt je raakt gezond, het is zo lekker weer.
Yaku was 12 when his mother died. His little brother was 3 months old. He now wants to get better and go home, to tell his brother who his mother was.
Ik wil bij hem wees wat ik hem kan verduidelijken. Die zei, man, mijn ma. Er blijven zoveel in die omgeving. As ek by die huis kom, dan wil ek vir hulle sê, hulle moet vir hom ook op 'n toets vat, om te kyk, soos hy miskien groter raak, so lyk my ma se siek weer.
Yaku won't see home for another 5 months. Like everyone here, he first has to complete his TB drugs. They're not easy to take, but they're very effective and will cure him completely. In South Africa, TB rates are more than double those in other developing countries. The township of Sakile is just outside Standerton in southern Mpumalanga. It's one of the only communities in the country to have found a plan that's working in the battle against tuberculosis. But it hasn't been easy. 2 years ago, almost no one finished their TB treatment. Residents here died young, needless deaths, because TB can be cured completely. Traditional healers are the first port of call for the residents of Sakile. Hundreds of healers practice around here. Fani Similane has got TB for the 3rd time.
I got sweat at night and I lost my weight, losing appetite and all those things.
The clinic gave TB pills to Fani for free. Yet twice before, he simply stopped taking his medicine. So every time he got sick again, no one helped Fani to understand that TB treatment takes 6 months. His traditional healer and the hospital that treated him sent him very mixed messages.
The health department was that side, traditional healers one side. If the patient go to the hospital or clinic, they tell them that you mustn't go to traditional healers. We also traditional healers. If the patient come to us, we said you mustn't go to the hospital or you mustn't go to the clinic because they don't know what they are doing. It was like that before.
And Fani wasn't the only one who was confused. His community didn't know who to trust. What complicated things further was the impact of AIDS on tuberculosis. HIV fuels the TB epidemic. 2/3 of TB sufferers also have HIV. Those in Sakile started believing that TB, like AIDS, couldn't be cured.
The TB now was like something incurable. And there were so many people dying of TB. And people, since the HIV has been the common thing to talk about, people now were dying as if TB couldn't be cured.
Nyangazizwe Mpila realized his people would pay the price unless he and his colleagues took immediate action.
We decided now to stand up and talk to our people and try to make them understand that taking this medication, TB medication, will save their lives, though you have an HIV virus.
2 years ago, Mpila realized Sanditon Hospital could help him to save his patients from TB. Help came in the form of Rinzi Velema.
Hy het dadelik gesê dat daar's 'n groot leemte, hulle mense gaan dood, maar as hulle by die klinieke was en die regte medisyne gekry het, dan word hulle tog gesond.
Is to show you what's happening to our sputum conversions. And we were very good, but now, all of a sudden, this is happening. And we know why.
Today, 21 healers counsel the hospital's TB patients. They even help with testing.
I'm actually very glad. Oh, it came from our...
For the first time, the patients are finishing their drug courses, and TB deaths are decreasing steadily. The healers now spend half the week counseling at clinics, but they haven't given up their own traditional practices. They encourage new clients to go to hospital and be tested for TB and HIV. Old patients come back, and the healers make sure they take their drugs every day until the end.
We are the people who always with the people, the sick people here. We are near the people, and people understand us. We are like father to them.
Ek dink ek weet vir ons in party van hierdie klinieke kom, daar's baie keer een suster wat 120 pasiënte per dag sien en daar's geen tyd vir berading nog vir daai arme susters nie. So en hulle doen die berading, hulle doen dit goed. Ons het nog nooit klagtes gehad nie.
For traditional healers, there are so many benefits. Your patients are going to trust you more. You have knowledge of everything.
Many of Mpila's TB patients also get tested for HIV. Healers counsel them and nurses do the AIDS tests. TB is often the first manifestation of AIDS. The test for TB is free and painless. It's as simple as spitting into a bottle.
Now we understand the TB. We can differentiate now between these diseases which needs indigenous medicine and the diseases that needs the modern medical method.
These days, only a few of Sakile's people die of TB. They've realized tuberculosis can be cured, even if they've got AIDS. TB is everywhere. Anyone can get it. The TB test may be simple, but for many it comes too late and at a price. In Pretoria, Ati de Lange's doctor struggled for 3 weeks before he realized what was wrong with his patient.
He diagnosed me actually with flu. He treated me for flu for about a week and a half. He told me, if that doesn't work, come back. I got up about 6, 7, 8 times a night, coughing, wheezing, couldn't catch my breath. So I went back after the course of the antibiotics was finished, and he gave me something for asthma. He treated me for asthma. About 2 days later, I went back to him. I said, I'm not feeling too great, doc. We better do something.
Ati thinks he caught TB from someone in his local cafe. Like most people in his community, he knew little of the disease. He just knew it was highly contagious, but his doctor set his mind at ease.
It's only contagious, that's what the doctor told me, until you start to use the medicine. After that, no problem.
Ati immediately told his colleagues he had tuberculosis. But a lot of people don't want others to know they've got TB. They fear they'll be looked down upon.
Me, I'm a different kind of guy. I told them, listen here, just be careful. If one of you start feeling pretty bad and I described the symptoms to them, go to the doctor, let him check you for tuberculosis. Finish your medication. Do not interrupt it for, let's say, a month and then start again and then leave it again for a month and then start again. Once you've started, take it continuously.
If adults with TB had followed advice such as this, these children would never have fallen ill. Children can't infect each other with TB because they swallow the TB germ instead of coughing it up like adults. The true spreaders of the disease are the grown-ups who don't take their medicine for the required 6 months. Or those people who never knew they had TB. If her mother's TB had been identified in time, Venetia Jafta would have been healthy today. Now this little girl will have to cope with the devastating permanent scars TB will leave in her life.